Hello and welcome. Welcome again. We're having a little bit of technical issues, and in reality, it happens, especially when you're on a remote location. Our lighting is very poor, so you can see a little grainy on our cams. We are using basically just whatever light is available to us. We are not going to be bringing no lights in, okay, because we are actually streaming in public places, and we're not going to be carrying umbrellas and lights and panels of lights. That's not going to happen. That's not what we're going to be doing. All right, but I tell you what, though, all right. This particular place, because we are actually looking at different places, right? We are actually checking out the different possibilities to be able to stream from different locations. One of the locations that we were able to stream this week was actually over in or not the previous location that we did, which actually brings in a lot of more light because it has more windows to it, and so it actually looks way better. As far as the ability to have lights, and you can see back there in the background, you can see everybody. They're kind of doing some cleanup and some dusting and that sort of stuff. We are in a coffee shop, and we're streaming right now. So if you hear some background noise, I'm sorry, but that's just the way that we want to do it. That's the style that we have chosen to do that. So you might hear chairs, you might hear some talking, you might hear some coffee grinders going on, making some lattes, and whatever the case may be, But anyways, it is what it is. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about is that we wanted to start this at 10 o'clock, and the reason why we didn't start it at 10 o'clock was because sometimes when we come into a location, we have to do a couple of things to be able to make sure that we have a good signal for streaming. For example, right now I could not use the actual internet that is available at this particular location because it did not provide the bandwidth. So if it doesn't provide the bandwidth, then obviously you're going to get very choppy and it's going to be falling off and that sort of thing. The previous, I just actually did a stream and I actually got cut off, and that was really not the fault of this place because I'm actually using 5G. I'm using my cellular. I got 5G. I got it through AT&T. I have 5G, and the stream is like, wow, it's just tremendously incredible. All right, and so it provides me with a downstream of almost close to 200 megabits per second, and the upstream almost like 30 megabits per second. That provides enough bandwidth to be able to do a stream for 4K. But the problem was that because I'm doing the 4K stream and because I'm doing simultaneous streams, I'm not just doing this on YouTube, I'm not just doing this at Facebook, I've actually got 4 different streams going on. Then it creates more bandwidth. It actually, it doesn't really create more bandwidth because it actually streams just to one location, and that location, which is Restream, actually, kind of ports it out and sends it to the appropriate locations. Now, with that said, there's other things that we're still working on, and I've been working on this whole week really hard to try to fix these issues because we want to bring people in, to talk about these cameras, these Fuji cameras, and all these questions that you guys have. And if you look, everybody, can actually write comments. We can write comments either to YouTube and we can respond to them, or you can write comments to Facebook and we can also respond to them, and Instagram also, or IGTV and other platforms that we're actually streaming to. The issue is not where everybody can see this stream. The issue is when I need to be able to see what you bring as far as a comment. So in other words, if I were to stream in Facebook, I would definitely see all your comments from Facebook. If I were to stream just on YouTube, I'm able to see all your comments from YouTube. If I'm were to stream on Instagram, I'm able to see all your comments from Instagram. But when you're doing multiple streams, although you can see me and the stream is pushed out and everybody can actually see me, I can't see all the comments because what happens is I might be able to see the Facebook and the YouTube work very, very well together. But when I bring another comment from another place, then I cannot see it at all. All right. And so what happens is that it knocks all the streams out completely. All right. And I mean, not the stream itself, it just knocks my comments out. All right. So we're still working on that. My Skype is working perfectly, all right, so that's not an issue. But I've got to get my comments up and running for you folks, because if I don't have my comments up and running, what happens is that you're not going to be able to interact, all right, with my guests, all right. And so we want to be able to see all your questions that you have to ask so that my guests can actually answer those questions. Now, I did promise that I was going to start today, and I am going to start today, but we have decided not to bring any guests today until next week, because we want to polish that particular comment section so that we all can talk together. We've got Zoom that also works in conjunction. Okay, we are able to do that also. So we've got that set up. We've got the Skype set up. Okay, so you're going to be able to talk to us through Skype. That is how we are actually going to be doing that live one-to-one. If you want to go live with us, and we can see you and they can see you as well, and you can see them as well, that's just going to be a really awesome interaction, right? And the complexity of this whole stream is not just something that can be worked out overnight. There's other issues that we need to look at. Again, one of them is the choices of places that actually have adequate lighting, so that we can have the proper lighting without bringing the big lights, because we're not going to do that, like I said before. All right, and the ability to give you something that is entertaining, and for at least an hour and a half, and that we can answer your questions. So for today, I don't have my comments working, although you can comment on YouTube, and although you can comment on Facebook, and you can comment on Instagram. I'm going to have to go back and look at those comments and answer your questions after the stream. I can't do it live because my comments are not propagating correctly. Sometimes I'll get one comment, sometimes I'll get another comment, and I am streaming through Restream, and Restream is not propagating all my comments correctly. So we're working on that technical issue, and hopefully by next week we'll have it all set and ready. But like I said, we are going to be talking about Fuji, Fuji cameras. This is a wonderful camera up here. Fuji has the capabilities of making so much, and I want to explain to you also one other thing which I did forget. When you look at our intro, you do notice that it says also welcome to Where to Go. Where to Go is our main channel, and that Where to Go is basically we actually give advice as where are the places that we recommend if you're coming down to the Orlando area or to the South Florida area, and that is based on tourists. Now, the reason why we kind of linked it together with these Fuji Talk cameras and all this stuff is because these tourists, when they come in, they want to know also what's good for them to shoot, and I think that they're going to be very, very beneficial. All right, also to be able to see the power that these cameras have, and the stuff that these cameras actually can do for you, because these cameras are really, really, really good. As you guys know, I've got the XT1, I've got the XT2, I've got the XT3, the XT4, and the XH1. So those cameras, we're going to talk about all those cameras in the coming live broadcast. So we're going to be doing that definitely for you. But today I brought you the XT2, and the reason that I got you the XT2 is because I think that for a starting point for somebody that doesn't, I can't afford $1,800, but if you're coming down to the theme parks like Disney, and you're going to be coming down to Universal, and you want to have a camera that does just about everything, this is, I think, the better choice of any camera that is out there right now, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to tell you the whys about it. The XT1 which is the previous one from this. You can possibly pick it up anywhere around $250 for the body alone without the lens. Here in the United States, anywhere between $250 to $300, and it is a great choice. But and it's a great camera. It's a beautiful camera, but it can only do 1080 in video. All right, and it's a 16 megapixel sensor. The 16 megapixel sensor in a lot of scenarios is better. It's a lot better in low light. Right? So for you guys that think that 24 megapixels is better in low light, you're absolutely wrong. All right, the 16 megapixel sensor is always a lot better in low light than a 24 megapixel sensor, and I will bring you a show explaining to you the whys about that, but I'm not going to get into that because we're not talking about the XT1 right now. We're talking about the XT2. The XT2 you can pick up around, I want to say, the body alone, around $500. I happen to pay a little bit more for this one because this one I picked up was actually new. It was brand new. It was a camera shop that was actually closing, and I picked it up, and I only paid a little over $600. Okay, for I think it was $650, $679, something like that, and that's the reason why I picked it up. Well, I picked it up, for several reasons. One reason is because this is my street shooter. I like to use this as a street shooter. The XT4 is a great camera to use. So is the XT3. It's a little bit more on the expensive side. I use those more for the cinematography. As a street shooter, I like this one. And here's another thing that is kind of, it's not really a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing, all right? And I'm going to explain to you, all right? This particular model, all right, the XT2 out of the Fuji line system, all right, if you're going to compare the XT2 to the XT3 and the XT4, the quality is different, all right? And the reason that it is different is a very simple one, all right? This particular camera that you see right here, the XT3 and the XT4 are made actually in China. This particular model of camera was made in Japan, and the quality of the product that is assembled and built in Japan, you can feel the difference, all right? You can see the difference, in the craftsmanship, in everything. And let me see if I can show you. What does it say here? Let me see if I can show you. Here we go. All right, I want to bring this up to you so you can see right here. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. Do you see that? Made in Japan. All right, see that? Made in Japan. All right. The other cameras are not made in Japan, and so obviously the quality is, it's just not there. I'm not saying that the camera doesn't work. No, I'm saying that the quality is just not there. And I'm gonna tell you something else that I really, I wouldn't like to put it out there, because it's not a positive thing for Fuji, but it's the truth, all right? I paid $1,800. Okay, guys, I paid $1,800 for my XT4 just a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and you see how these buttons, how it has these buttons where you can actually press one and it releases it, and then it allows you to turn the actual dial, okay, so that you can set your ISOs, and so you can set your stuff. Well, on the XT4, brand new, this little push button that you see right here on my XT4 would get stuck, all right? And so I would literally have to jiggle this around to get this actually to be released. That is what I'm talking about. This is has to do with the quality, all right? The quality of the craftsmanship of something that is done in a place like Japan. Japan, they're so, when they produce something, their quality is like they go over it. They make sure it works perfectly, up to the last detail. It's just like a product that comes from Germany. These are, countries that the craftsmanship that comes out of these places are very important to them, and so this is what happened to me, all right? So this particular camera that's made in Japan, I don't have that problem, all right? That problem, and you can see by the way when I feel these knobs here, right? The feeling of how smooth compared to the XT4. The XT4, it's the dials are all metal, and it's everything. It's water. It's weather sealed. But you can feel it. You can actually feel it. This is like, if this XT2 feels like it has like some special lubrication inside. That is just super smooth, super silky smooth. And the XT4, it works. It works nice, but it doesn't have the silky smoothness to it that this particular XT2 does, and it has to do because of where it was built. All right. Again, the quality that comes from China is not even close to the quality of products that come from Japan, and this particular model, actually shows it. And with that said, I heavily recommend for somebody that is just starting out, that just wants a camera that is going to be used like to go down to the parks, Disney and all that kind of stuff. The colors that come out of this particular camera, they're just lovely. All right, they're really, really lovely. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're a Sony lover. I don't care if you're a Canon lover. You know what I'm saying? I come from a cinematography background. And the colors are just simply unmatched. All right, and they are so unmatched that even up to today's standard, all the films that are the major films, the big blockbuster films, they all look for Fuji lenses. They all look for Fuji lenses and above and beyond. They don't use Canon lenses, all right, to go out and film movies. I'm sorry, guys, that's the truth, right? You don't put a Canon Cine lens, all right, on a $80,000 Ulysses camera. That just doesn't work. So, anyways. So I really recommend this camera for $500. Then. What I've done is I brought it here and I put an XC 35 millimeter lens. It is only $200 for a brand new lens for the XC. It's a 2.0, and with this particular lens, it's gonna give you the same field of view as if you had a 50. It actually comes out to I want to say 52.6, all right, if you do the conversion, because you got to multiply it by 1.5, and when you multiply it by 1.5, 35 millimeters by 1.5, I think it's like 52.6, something like that, but it's just, the quality, the clarity it's really there. It's really nice, and it's really super, super good, so if you're wanting to look for a budget camera, a camera that I really highly recommend, this will be it. Now, there are some drawbacks, and just like every camera has good stuff and it has bad stuff. It doesn't matter what camera you get, your audio is always going to be low. And if you looked at my previous stream, which dealt with audio, you can see that I bought a Rode. The Rode is going to be $200. You do not need a Rode. All right, not if you're going into a place like a Disney or a Universal. You don't need that. But the audio is not. The camera doesn't have super bad audio, but it will make a big difference if you get an external microphone for it, and you can get a really good one, a Rode video mic for $60, and those mics work wonders if you're going to do video. If you're going to use it just for photography, then you don't need it, all right? But it is a 24 megapixel camera. It is really, really nice. The colors on it are just beautiful. The other thing, it's got dual card slots, all right? So if we look up here, let's take a look up here. And we're gonna go up here. All right. Let's see if we can see it here. There you go. All right. Let me take this out of the way. And here we go. Okay, you can see right there. It's got two. Can we see it there? All right. It's got two card slots. All right. And what's good about it is when you have two card slots, 1 and 2, you've got a redundancy. All right. And if one, for two reasons, you can record to both cars at the same time. You cannot record video on the same time to both cars, but you can. There's a lot of things you can do, simultaneously, on the car for as far as photos are concerned. You can also set it up to where when one card is full, it goes straight to the other card, and that's a definite plus. It also has on the side. Let me bring it up to the other side. The other side, okay, right here, you can see a plug, okay, for your microphone. All right, and this little thing right there that you see right here. Let me see if I can point it out with this right here. It's probably a little bit better. This here, you can. It's actually a micro. All right. It's you can use it to charge your battery inside your camera while your battery is inside the camera. You do not have to take the battery out to charge it. It can actually charge straight, from here. And then your next port that you see right there, right? It has it's a mini port for your HDMI out, and you can set up a external Atmos recorder if you want, or you can set up an external monitor. You can get your video out that way. It is also clean HDMI, which means that you can use this camera for webcasting. That's correct. This camera can be used for webcasting. So the flexibility of what is allotted with this camera for the price and the color that you get from this camera is just tremendous, and it's really, really worthwhile. I really highly recommend this, guys. I really highly recommend this as a starting camera. And if you have any questions, please write to me in the comments, and I'll definitely get back to you folks, and let you guys know what's going on. And for that, next week I want to bring you the XT4, and I want to compare XT4 to the actual shooting of the XT2, because the difference is only 2 megapixels. The XT2 has a 24 megapixel sensor, while the XT3 and the XT4 has a 26 megapixel sensor. The 2 megapixel difference in the sensor is not going to break you, and you're not going to know the difference, right? It's just, I can put 2 pictures right next to each other and you're not going to know the difference, but the XT4 has, it's got built-in IBIS, and that can be very helpful for some of the stuff that you want to do, but it's also an $1,800 body. So if you can afford the $1,800 body, and if you're going to do more of the commercial work and that sort of stuff, 100% I do recommend it. Definitely yes. I've got it, and that's the reason why I got it for. But if you're just going to do like the run and gun type thing, going to go to the parks, just do a family, need a camera to do family stuff, this one here is the one that you want. This one here is really the one that you need. So with that said, guys, this is going to be a very, very quick broadcast, like I told you, because I'm kind of like disappointed because my comments are not working the way that they're supposed to. Just hang tight, because we're gonna be working on that, and I will keep you posted throughout this whole week. If those comments are working, once I got my programmers to actually fix that, because we're gonna have to hardcore, we're actually hard program the code into the software to correct it, and that's what we're working on right now. And so in the meantime, stay safe. This is Charles Richard, and we're coffee time and Fuji Talk here at Where to Go. Thanks for joining us, and before we go, we want to ask you that you please subscribe so that you guys can actually be posted, and when we're actually going to be streaming live again in this channel. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next Saturday.